Lovely. All right, let's flick through. So just a recap of what you've just heard, we've got 4 other webinars coming up, which is really good. I talked about the elephant in the room. I talked about your pressure of where you are and how that is being managed by you guys. And talked about community and clarity. I won't go through the whole lot. I'll just go through the things that I want to chat about as well. Navigating around teams, building a team, looking at channels, and managing and communicating effectively. And keep calm and use teams. So you talked about technology falling over. Yeah, it just did then for me. Cool. So I've just put this question up so you can kind of visualize what I was saying. It's basically taking the stuff that you know and putting it into teams and working out how that works in your situation. I'll fly through a couple of, I'll go back to this one. So the hub that brings everything together, this is a really good visualization of it, is that obviously all the Microsoft stuff works well in there. And then on the other side, you've got your third-party apps that you can bring in as well. So you've got your calls, which happens, it can be managed inside Teams. And then you've also got the third-party apps which you can bring in, which is your learning management systems and things like that can come into that as well. So what I might do is take you on a super quick tour of Teams. I'll just jump through this gear. There we go. And do a bit of a layout about what it's called. And so when I refer to bits and pieces, because I'm going to jump in and do a live demo in a tick, when I refer to bits and pieces, you'll be able to see, understand what I'm talking about. Down the left-hand side is what we refer to when you open up Microsoft Teams as the me space. And that's the stuff that relates directly to you. So you're the only one that can see this gear. You're the only one that can kind of manage the stuff in there. At the top, there's an activity bell. That bell is really handy to let you know whether something's happened or you've been notified since you've been away. And so for me, I always come back and have a look. And when I bring the demo, I'm going to show you a live demo of our team, and you should be able to see what's going on in there. Underneath that is the chat space where you can have conversations with other people. Then you've got the teams, which is all the teams you're part of. The meetings tab should be activated, and it links to your Outlook calendar. If you're running Outlook, if you're running Google, depends how your calendars are managed in your school. Your appointments can be pulled into that. The one below that is files, and your files are your files, as well as the files of any other external storage that you might want to bring in, which is really quite handy. The next bit over is also your me space. It's how you organize your teams. And I'll show you how I've done mine, which might be different to the way that you do it as well. And they call that the left rail. So I just kind of refer to it as the left part of the screen. Then across the top is where everyone gets to see. So in this language arts channel, which is a demo here, the language arts channel has got a general channel in it. It's got a thing called conversations. It's got files, a class notebook, assignments and syllabus, and those things across the top are called tabs. The whole bit in the middle where the conversations are is where your communication and collaboration happens really quickly and well. Anyone who posts in a channel, everyone in that channel can see it. Anyone who is in a team can see the posts and conversations happening inside any of the channels in that team. And the last bit is at the top is your profile space. And this is where you can manage your permissions. You can manage your ability to be able to have notifications and those kind of things. And we're going to talk a bit about some of the stuff we've learnt about how to make that work a little bit better. And some terminology. On the left-hand side, in the left-hand canvas bit there, you've got the name of your team is at the top, and then underneath that is channels. So you can see that there's a Monaro Twilight team. You know, underneath that, you've got 4 different channels. There's a general channel, which is on every single team, and then they've customized it underneath. On the right-hand side, wherever you get 3 dots, which they refer to as the 3 ellipses, but I call them the 3 dots, that's where you can get all your settings. And then across the top of the canvas on the right-hand side are the tabs. So that's kind of the general get around of where that sits. So what I'm going to do now is jump out of that and then turn off my share screen and turn my camera back on. Cool. And what we'll do is we'll move into a live demo. There's a couple of questions that have come through as well, and I'll kind of ask them as we go. Is there a way one of the 4 participants out of the main screen and move another one into the main 4? So Rob, that's to do with video. We'll chat a little bit as we get down the path to do with how video works inside Teams, and we'll talk about some of the things that we've learned in that. And does the Conversations tab work in the same way as the Post tab? Yes, correct, it does. Cool. Beautiful. Yes, Leonie, you've asked, can you add an existing class with OneNote into Teams? You can bring in a class OneNote, and I'll show you how that works, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, which is good, which is pretty cool. Do you have a UTB professional learning plan? Yes, we actually have a Teams course that we've built. This is an online course. It goes 6 modules that goes through a whole lot of stuff, but I'll talk a bit about that right at the end to get there. Cool. Alrighty. Okay, let me now come into sharing my, I'm going to share my window again with you, so it's going to go nuts for a bit. And at the end of this session, it'll be recorded so you can see it, but also we'll share this deck with you as well so you can get all the slides in it as well. I'll give you a link right at the end to be able to get that. Cool. Let's jump into here and jump into the way in which we put in, I'm just going to do a live demo and show you what happens in our team. And then I'm going to jump into an education space and show you what that looks like. So just give me a second as I bring up my Microsoft Teams in here. I'm just going to drag that over onto this window over here. And now I'm going to go and share my screen again. Turn off my camera. Grab this one. Cool. Cool. So what I'm sharing with you now is a live demonstration of our Microsoft Teams. So let me open this up. So this is our team that we've got for using technology better. And you'll see that I've set it up slightly differently, but I just want to show you a couple of things that you can do in this, and then we'll dive back into it in a bit of time. Down the left-hand side here is all my activity bell. So there's 7 things that I've been mentioned in since I've been away, and there are 2 chats that people have been having with me since I've been away, which is really good. So my files tab over here is my files linked straight to my OneDrive. It also links to all my files that are sitting inside my Teams, but you'll notice down the bottom here, I've also added my Google Drive. As a company, we operate in all 3 platforms, and so a lot of our stuff is created in the Google world, but we use the Microsoft tools as well. So Microsoft Teams brings everything into one spot for us. So to add an external drive, you just come down to this button here, let's go plus, and it says add a cloud storage, and you just pick the one that you want to grab. So I can grab Dropbox, I can grab Box and Share File if I need to. I've already added Google Drive, that's why that icon's not there. So if I click on my Google Drive there, what it was going to do is it's just going to open up my Google Drive. It's the whole thing. It's all there ready for me to go. And I can actually access all my stuff from Google in there. It takes a couple of seconds to load up, but once it does, it pops up with my entire Google Drive. If I click on it, I can access anything. And because it lives inside this environment, I can then edit it and work it in this space. So that's my Google Drive sitting inside there. So once again, these are the things that I can see. No one else can see these things. When I come across to my Teams, you'll see that we've got some Teams down the bottom here. And when you go to the left-hand side of your Teams, there's a little arrow that's kind of grayed out, but not too bad. And in that grayed out bit, you can hit the little arrow and it'll expand your team out so it takes up a bit more space. Or you can shrink it down so it takes less space. So you can see with mine, I just have mine shrunken down because I just want a bit more space on my desktop, just organizing what I do. You'll also see that we've numbered our channels a certain way, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a tick, about how to actually manage the way in which you have your channels running. And then down the bottom, you'll see I've got a thing that says hidden channels. Now, this is because there might be some channels in your teams that you build that you don't need to pay attention to a great deal. So for me, I've got 7 hidden channels. If I hit the arrow here, they'll expand, and these are the channels that are hidden. At any time, I can come across and go show, and then that will then open up that channel for me. I can hide a channel, so let's pretend I want to hide this partner update channel. I can click on the three dots. The three dots bring up a submenu. That submenu I can come to and just go hide, and then it will then hide it off of my view and pull it out of my view, so I don't need to pay attention to it. It takes a couple of seconds to refresh through. So it just means that my working space for me is a bit clearer. The other thing I can do, which is really quite cool, is I can pin a channel up to the top of my page. So you'll see at the top of my page, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 channels that I've got posted up there. And they're ones that I actually spend quite a bit of time jumping into and looking at. So you can pin channels to the top of your page. So they're the ones that are sitting there all the time. It's like pinning a favorite. I can also do that with chats, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But in terms of the way in which I set up my channels, I can manage them by pinning them up here. The great thing about this is they are not based on alphabetical order. I can move them around depending on what I need to do. So you'll see that I've got my Google one at the top, and then I've got these general ones down the bottom here. We have, in our company, we've set up 2 teams, and our thought process behind that is this team is for our permanent employees, and this is all the gear that we all need to see. And then this other ones here is for our contractors that we bring in to help us out at multiple times. And this is stuff that they need to see. Now, they don't need to see the gear in here because this is kind of our management stuff, but all the stuff in here, we need to be overall over and be able to manage together. So all these things in here are seen by us as a team for UTB plus all our external trainers. So in your school, you'll think a little bit about how you build your teams and the thought process behind that. Because in terms of building your teams, you need to think it out a bit so you don't end up with just so many teams that you go nutso. And then when you do have your teams that you go, you want to be able to manage your channels as well. So that's kind of the way in which we do it. So what I'd like to do now is actually build a team up for you and show you how that works, and then bring in some of the functions and features that we've done. So I'm just going to jump out of this window. I'll just minimize this window a smidge, go stop sharing, come back to here. Okay, a couple of questions. I'll turn my camera on as well. A couple of questions. Can you log into Teams with 2 different devices simultaneously, a tablet or something? Yep, certainly can. So Jared, that's a great question as well. I've actually got, at the moment, I've got 3 devices on at the moment. I've got my teams actually enrolled in all 3, so I can see them, and I run multiple desktops. So you can have it over multiple things as well. Jackie, in a tech, I'll talk about what a channel is as we build that through. And Leonie, when you hide a channel, it's what you're hiding. For the rest of the people, of the kids, they will still see them. So in that way, they can still customize the way in which they want to be able to do that. So it works like that. So just be aware that if you customize it, so my view that I've got there is completely different to Mike's. So Mike's got a completely different view as well. If there's something that you want to be able to put in a team where you're the only one that wants to see it and you want no one else to see it, then you can make it a private channel. And I'll show you that in a tick. And that might be, you might be team teaching a class, so there might be 2 teachers teaching your year 6 class. So you both build the team out, and there might be a channel in there where the teachers just want to chat, but they don't want the kids to be able to see it. You can make that a private channel so that only you and who you add to it can see what goes on in it. Still appears in the kids list, but if they click on it, they won't see anything. So that's a really good thing for management. Also for overall school, if you have a staff team and you might have a finance group, which might be your bursar or your finance manager and the principal and the deputy or something, they can create a private channel just for finance, which they can see, but no one else can see. So everything is locked into that channel and still sits within your staff team. So you don't need to have 16 teams within your school. You might only have 3. And those channels, you can have multiple channels inside a team as well. Now, Leonie asked, can you add iCloud as well? Haven't given that a crack yet. I could give it a crack, but it might fall over, so I might do it as well. Alrighty, cool. Can you be in the same meeting twice, Meg? Ooh, I haven't tried that. theoretically you can. Yeah, I don't know why you would, but that's okay. Can you make a channel so share that channel with a particular team? So no, the channels. So the question from Gail is, can you make a channel and share that with just a particular team? So any person inside your team will see a channel. And when I build it out, I'll talk that through. So what I'm really hoping is that in a tick, I'm going to be able to grab my demo account that I've set up and show you how to build a team in that. So what I might do is I might give you about 3 or 4 minutes just to have a quick drink or a bit of a break, or write some notes or chat to someone if you're 1.5 meters apart. And I'll log into my other account. I'll turn my camera off for this bit so you don't either see me or hear me doing it. Actually, I'll let you see me because I'll turn off my microphone so you don't hear me going and I'll set up a dummy account and then bring you into that and show you how that works. Hugh just asked, is there a limit to number of channels you can create? No, there's no limit. It's limitless. Okay, so I just turn off my mic while I just do this. All righty, beautiful, cool. Okie dokie. The image when you're on Teams is not very sharp. Is that typical? No, your vision inside Teams, it should be pretty well sharp as anything. I'm actually sharing this through a bigger screen, and it's the way in which the program actually takes it as well. Cool. Alrighty. So, Leonie, you're getting big ticks from Renata here in terms of asking all the questions that people want. So let's have a look. Jared, at the top. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, Daniel's asked, is anyone using Teams with Sector and see how that integrates? I'd really like to know how that integrates. I've seen some demos, but often when you see a demo, it's set up so it works brilliantly. So I'd love to see what it's like in your school as well. So let me know if someone's doing that, and we'll be able to kind of work in that situation as well. Cool. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share with you a demo tenant that we've built up and show you how to build teams. Because one of the things that's quite unique with Teams, and I might just bring this slide over for you guys, is that when you build a Microsoft team, in the education world, it enables you to build 1 or 4 different types. So you can build a team for your class. That's called a class team. There's a PLC or a professional learning team. There's a staff team, and then there's another team, which is like a general, might be a sporting team that wants to be built. So when we build one out, I'll show you what they are and I'll speak them through. So let me just share my screen. I'm going to turn my camera off. I'm going to share my screen again. And then we'll go like this, turn my camera off. Alrighty, so here I've got a demo account, which has got in it a view that looks like this, which just tells me the teams that I've got. Depends how your admin has set up your account. You'll either get a view like this, which is in like a grid view or a tile view where your teams are spread across, or it'll be a list view like I had. They both work exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a class, and I'm going to show you what a class kind of looks like as well. So let's jump into here. If you've got a list view inside Teams, what happens is this button up here on the top right-hand side, which says join or create, will actually be down the bottom left-hand side. So just be aware that if you go, oh, I can't find that button, it's either hiding down the bottom left-hand side or up over here on the top right-hand side as well. So just be aware that that's the two places it is. So let's go and just join and create a team. So when I go create a team, it goes like this. Now, it depends on how your school's done it. Sometimes schools will pre-populate teams and build them out for you, and as a teacher, you'll be allocated it, or you might build one from scratch. 6 1 half does the other. Build it from scratch, you then have to bring the kids in, but if that's done with your school, you should be able to add them really quickly. But if it's done from an admin level, it's already built for you, then you don't necessarily have to do this. So if I come to create a team, I'm going to come across to here. It's then going to come up and say, look, you've got these 4 options. Which one do you want to do? So a class team is specifically for your kids and you. So as a teacher, this is the one that you'd be building, because when you build it out, it automatically gives you the capacity to do a OneNote class notebook, and all the students that you add to the class will be added to that class notebook straight away. So it's a really, really nice way of being able to do it. If you've already built a class notebook and you've got that sitting, you can then link it in through the tabs into your class as well, so you don't have to reinvent it. So just be aware you can do that. Professional learning community might be for you and teachers. So it might be the maths faculty, or it could be the year 6, 7 team, or the middle school team, or the junior school team. Could be one PLC, a professional learning community. So you can build those up like that as well. The staff team could also be an alternative for you, but the staff team, when it builds out a OneNote notebook in that, it builds a staff notebook. The same functionality in terms of your posts, your chats, your video calls, and those kind of things still happen in every single one of these teams. It's just the way it builds out the class or the notebook in OneNote for you. And the other one might be a study group or a football group that you're building as well. So that's the difference between them. So I'm going to go and build a class because of the fact that that's probably what you're going to do in most times. So let's come to the class one. Click on that. I'm just going to call this Aisa delete. Not that I'm going to delete Aisa, it's just that I'm going to delete this at the end. So this is a demo one. I can put in a description in here. Demo, cool, like that. And also down the bottom here, you'll see that it says create a team using an existing team as a template, which means that next year or next term or next semester, when you maybe have a new class, but you've got this team that's just structured really well, it's got all the tabs in it, it's got everything that you'd like it to be, it's got the right channels, you can use that as a template and it will just copy it and put the new permissions on it. So it's really good. So once you've got one built, you don't have to reinvent it every single time, which I think is just terrific. But I'm going to start from scratch because this is what a demo is all about. If I then go next, it starts thinking about it and it will build it. Now, it does take a bit of time to do this, so don't be too upset if it spins for a little bit, because at the moment I was reading the data about how many people are creating teams and how much stuff's going on in the background at the moment, and it's absolutely nuts. So don't be too worried if it takes a bit of time. When you get to this window, you then can add your students and your teachers to it. Now, if you are using groups in your school, so your admin has set up email groups and groups within your domain or your environment that you're in, all you need to do is type the name of that class and it will populate. So if I had a year 7 class, it was a group, I could type in year 7 and it would come across automatically for me. If I had a group called year 9 or class 7G, I could do the same thing as well. But in this one, all the students in this demo account are all individuals. And so all I need to do is start typing their names, and you'll see that they will appear here. So I've got Al Fredrickson I can add. I've got a couple of, I'll go, another student is Alex Wilbur. I reckon I've got Adele. I reckon I've got a Jennifer too. Well, Jennifer's a teacher, but I won't put her in there. I've got a Jonathan. I've got a Jamie. And so I can just keep on adding these one by one. What you can't do in this spot is you can't just grab all the names off a spreadsheet with their email addresses and drop it in here, because Microsoft needs them to be separated as you bring them in. So that's why it's really good to have your groups done in your admin. So you might ask your IT guys to do that. Or once again, once you've added all your kids one by one, you only have to do that once, and then it's always set up for you. You can always add a kid afterwards if you want. But I'll show you another way where you can get your kids in without having to add their names one by one. I'll just go to my teachers. So let's pretend I've got a couple of teachers that I want to add. Let's see if I don't want to add Adele as a teacher. I want to bring in Alan, who's a principal. Let me go through. Yeah, grab Alan. So Alan's a principal or a teacher as well, and he's going to team teach it with me as well. So I can have as many team teachers as well. Once I go add, it will build it out for me, and then go close. And it's already done, ready for me to go. I can upload class materials when I get to this page, and I'm ready to roll with it. A couple of things that you might want to look at in terms of the way in which it's set up is you'll notice, because I'm in a school channel or a school team, I've got posts, files, class notebook, which has already been built for me there, assignments, grades, and then a plus. And these won't be populated, the assignments and grades won't be there, but I'll take you to another fake class that I've got that will show you afterwards. So the makeup of this is ASA delete is the name of my team. This is a channel underneath it. So channels are normally, you break them up a little bit in terms of they may be different subject areas, they might be different focus points you have in your class, it might be different groups you have in your class as well. So a channel is like a focus point of communication. A team is the overarching thing. So if you remember back to the Using Technology Better team, we had our UTB team, and we had all the stuff that we do in terms of our functions inside every channel, so we can find stuff easier. So once again, you can have as many channels as you want, because the more channels you have, it's kind of counterintuitive, the more organized you can be. It's like with calendars. The more calendars you have, the more organized you can be. So now, when you, Sarah's asked about students in the classroom and supplying emails, the kids will have to be in your account inside your domain at your school to be able to access the team. It's very hard to bring. You can bring people in as a guest, but with students, you'd like them to be inside your team. So therefore, you'll probably need your admin to have a look at it as well. So Alicia's asked about, I try to click on the create, it's been joined. Yeah, so I agree with Mike, is that it's probably been disabled at an admin level for teachers to create a team. So you might want to go and ask them to be able to create a team as well. They can also disable students from creating a team. So just be aware that that is there as well. Cool. Now, when it first pops up, you'll see that in here, it comes up with notifications that says, do I want to actually turn on the notifications? I'm just going to go dismiss, because otherwise I'll get notifications on all the time, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a tick. So now what I want to do is show you how to build some channels, and then we're going to have a little bit of a breather for a tick, and I'll answer some questions, and I'll come back and do the next bit. So to add a channel, so you've just got to think a bit about my class. So let's pretend this is a year 6 class, and we've got a language arts. We do some language arts, we do some numeracy, and we might be working on a project on Indonesia. So my 3 dots over here, when I click on that, it comes to add a channel. If I add a channel in that, I'm going to just go like this, and I'm going to go 01, because the reason why I go 01, because then that will order it in my list. So otherwise it's based on alphabetical. So inside your team, you can't customize the order of the channels because it's based on the alphabet. But if you go 01, it's going to force it as being the top one there. So I'm going to go 01 maths, because it should always be the top one there. And then you'll see as I come down, I can put a description there. And at the moment, the privacy is standard. So what that means is that at the moment, everyone can have access to that channel. If I make it private, I can just add certain people to it. So let's just do that one channel, and I'm going to automatically lob it in everyone else's channels so they can see it, and go add. And what it does is it will add on my left-hand side, you'll see it will pop up in a tick and say 01 math, there we go, all ready to go, so it's all clear. If I want to add another channel, and this might be a teacher's channel, I come up to the 3 dots, come up to add a channel, and this is going to be, I'm going to call this 01A and call it teachers. Actually, I might call it 07 to drop it right down the bottom, teachers. And this is just for us as teachers. Remember, I added another teacher in there. So in here, I can come down and make it private, and I can make that a private teachers channel. If I then go next, it's going to say, all right, I'm going to add the channel, and it's going to say, who do you want to put in that channel? Because it's a private channel, it asks straight away who you want to add. So I'm going to come to my teachers, and I think I put Alan there as a teacher's name. There it is. I'll put Alan in there. So Alan, I can add in there as well, and go add, and then I can go done. And now Alan and myself are the only ones that can get access inside that channel. It'll appear on their lists, but it won't actually, they can't click on it and get into it. So if you're working in your classroom and you've got maybe 4 groups that you work with, or you might be a composite class, a grade 4, 5, or a 5, 6, or something like that, you can then group your grade 4s in a private channel. And so the grade 4s could be in that. Or you might differentiate and have a red, blue, green team, and the red team might be working on something. So you can make the red team, make it private, and just put the students of the red team in there. So that as they're working together, they will see their conversations, they'll see the chats. You'll still be able to see it and monitor it, but it just breaks it out of the other general chatter as well. So you can keep on adding more and more teams and building them out. To add a post, so now that I've got a team going, and you would have seen in our Using Technology Better team that we had a whole lot of chitter chatter or posts going, this post will go to this whole team. So anyone who is in the AISA delete team will be able to see whatever I post in the general channel. They'll be able to see whatever I post in the maths channel, but only the ones that have permissions will see what I post in the teachers channel. So if I come to general and go, hi everyone, now that will just get posted inside that channel, and it will then keep on just being, as we go, that those posts will keep on moving up the screen. People can come in here and reply. I mean, I'm replying to myself, but as you can see, it'll be built out like that, and then you can have those kind of conversations happening there. Depending on what your school has set up and what they've allowed and not allowed, you can also have some things down the bottom here. I can add little smiley faces, which are quite nice just to make a post or an announcement stand out a bit and look really good. I've also got the ability to add a GIF or an animated GIF. Some schools will turn them off completely, other people will leave it in there. It does add a bit of fun to what's going on. So in here, you could type up, say, birthday. Let's go birthday. There's always some nice ones in birthday. There we go. We can put our little minions there saying happy birthday. And that could be a birthday post that we put out there as well. So all these things can add to just that bit of fun, that collaboration, that collegiality that you have in your classroom or with your staff that you're working with. Now, once again, that might be turned off at an admin level. So just be aware that you may not see what I see. The next little tab over across the bottom in my posts are a sticker. So in my stickers, I've got the stickers that you might have seen in other Microsoft stuff as well. And you can search for them and add them in as well. So they just add a small bit of flair and a bit of flavor. The next channel over is a video channel, which you can meet now. And we'll talk a little bit about that a bit further on. And then there's a couple of other things. There's Microsoft Stream sitting in here. There's also the ability to thank people and say, well done, good jobs by using the praise tool, which is really handy. So if you hit on that, you might send praise to optimism. That might be a character trait that you're looking at here. And I reckon I've got a student called Al, have I got Alfonso? Oh, I haven't got an Alfonso. I've got a V, haven't I? Oh, I can't remember my kid's name, so I won't send praise or optimism to anyone, but you can actually send those character traits to people. And then last one is Polly, and Polly enables you to have a poll at any time. All right, so that's kind of how you build the channels out. There's a couple of people talking about the chatter and channels, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a tick, which is probably really worthwhile. In terms of the 4 different types of teams and the 4 different types of Microsoft One notebooks that you get, depending on which ones you've built is what you see. So let me just open up. I'm going to bring you into another pretend team that I've got here. I'll come into my physical science team, and I'll show you what a Microsoft OneNote looks like in this environment, and I'll show you in the other ones. So in here, this is a class that we've made up, and at the top of it is it's already been populated with some tasks and things. But the class notebook that's been populated in here is a Microsoft OneNote notebook, and it's a class notebook. Now, at the moment, because of the amount of traffic that's sitting inside the Microsoft servers, the full functionality isn't running inside Teams, which it normally does. So if you just go open in browser, everything will work. But I'll just show you what's in here. So a class notebook for you as a teacher has these tabs. Now, notice that there's a thing called collaboration space. Collaboration space, there's nothing in it, but this is where the kids can work together. So you can see down here, there's a velocity unit of notes, which other people have added notes to. There's some class projects in here that students have been working on and adding things in, and everyone in the class can work in this space. And that could be, you might be taking notes, jotting things down, and it could be a really nice way of keeping track of what's going on collaboratively. Everyone has access to the collaborative space. The content library, on the other hand, is where you can build stuff as a teacher and then share it with your students. Now, your students can't add, delete, or do anything in this. It's your content library. It's like the library books that you have. But underneath it, you'll see that I've then got all the students in my class. So as a teacher, I can see all the students. But as a student, they can just see their spot, plus the content library, plus the collaboration space. They cannot see anyone else's spaces. So Adele here, Adele will see her spaces, but she won't see anyone else's spaces. But as a teacher, I can jump into Adele's spot at any time I want to. So you can see in Adele's notebook, she's got an oceans project, she's got quizzes, she's got some class notes, she's got handouts, some ocean creatures, some labs, and some homework. So if I wanted to jump in and see how Adele's doing with her ocean project, I can just open it up and I can jump in really quickly to see where she's at. And I can give her some feedback. Whoops. I can give her some feedback inside that space at any time. So that's sort of class notebooks like. There's some really great features in class notebook, but we haven't got time to jump into them today. For me, it's just superb because I can put a whole lot of stuff in here. A couple of things I would say though, inside here, because this is a document that you as a teacher can jump in at any time, you can monitor the work that they've done at any stage. You can add a voice memo, so you can actually give them a voice memo in there to say, look, this is great, maybe you need to add this to your project, but you can see their work at any time in real time. So it's a really nice way of being able to manage the workspace as well. The other way I've seen the content library work really well is that the teachers might post in here what we're doing this week. So they might have a document in there that goes, you know, Monday we're going to be doing this, Tuesday we'll be doing this, Wednesday we might be doing this, and drop a video in as well so the kids can watch you explaining it. And they can come back to it and watch it any time. So those kids that might miss a bit of instructions or something like that, you can always come back to it. The notebook that you get in a staff team is very similar to this, but all your staff members will have a separate booklet themselves that they can see, but no one else can see it. And then your leadership, whoever built the team, will have a space up here that they can build things out in as well. So it's a really nice way of being able to be able to manage your staff and be able to see what's going on. And then in the other ones, you'll get notebooks that people can access as well. So that's the different types of notebooks that are sitting in there. All right. So it still works. So Leonie's asked, does it work if 2 teachers share a class notebook? Exactly. You'll have 2 teachers in there at the same time, which is really good. There's a bit of is there a limit to the size of voice in video? Not really. So Josie's asked about the way in which it manages the video. Just be aware that if the kids at home, they've got really low bandwidth and you put a 4-hour video of you explaining something, which I probably never do, it will take up a bit. So what you probably would like to do is look at the fact that maybe a short 5-minute video, this is what you're going to do, then that'll be worth watching as well. So the whole idea of working online in that environment with pedagogy is really interesting, because you'll find that at the end of this hour-and-a-half webinar, you're going to be fairly tired because you've just had me talking at you. And then that happens all the time. And so if you're getting this talking in your face, you haven't got that physical relationship with me, and that tends to take a lot of energy. So if you're giving a lot of information to your kids in great big chunks of information like this, then they're probably not going to be engaged and they're probably going to switch off. So you just need to be aware that 10-minute chunks of video or input is really good. So set up the 10 minutes and then away you go, and then let the kids do something. Then maybe check back in half an hour's time or 45 minutes. Cool. Lee's asking, can you delete a student from a team? You certainly can. You can go into the settings and just rip them out if you want to. Alrighty. So, and I've also said, can you do a pre-record lesson on Zoom and then insert that into your class in your notebook? You certainly can, as long as you record it. You can drop a video in there as well. Okay, so we're talking about feedback for student work as well. I'll try to get to that as well. As you can see, there's a whole lot of stuff that's linked into here, but the main focus of our little webinar today is really look at how to get teams running. So I'll do my best to answer as much as possible, but at the end, we'll give you a link where you can ask us questions and someone will get back to you and help you out as well. So our goal is not to leave you high and dry, but do that. So let me come back to my team here. This is my team that I'm working on with my channels. And I just want to show you something in the team that I just built, my pretend team, my ESA delete team here. Let's open it up. And we've got our channels that we've built in here. We can keep on adding more and more channels. So I kind of think small amount of teams, maximum amount of channels. If we want to remove a student, let's go, oh my goodness, Fred's left this class or he's gone to another class. How do we do that? Now, depending on your settings and how your admin has set up your settings, there may be different ways in which it's done in your school. The 3 dots next to the name of the team opens up this window, which gives you some settings, but it gives you this little cog up here that says Manage Team. And in here, you've got some permissions and things that you can manage your team with. So I'll open that up and show you. In here, it's got all the members, and you can also add guests into your team. Now, guests can participate, but they can't access some of your files and things like that, depending on the way in which the permissions are set. So it's basically a guest coming into your classroom, so you can bring someone externally in if you want to. But notice here, if I could bring this members and guests down, this arrow here, I can come into here and delete out who I want to as well. So at the moment, I've got only 2 people in here. I mustn't have added the kids. Let me come back into here. Let me add some students in here. I'll show you how to delete a student. Let's go Alf, go add. Let me go Veronica. Oops. Adele, good, add. And we go for Sophia or Susanna, she can go add, beautiful, lovely. I didn't add them before, there we go, close. So now you'll see, if I come down to here, I've now got some students in my class. Now there's a couple of things I can do, which is really good. If you've got a student who is chatting away or not paying attention or whatever, I can just go mute and I can mute the whole lot out, or make our Owls the one that's being a bit annoying. Not being annoying, being inappropriate in the use of the chat, I can then turn him off completely as well. So I can either mute the whole lot from there, or I can mute them individually. At an admin level, that may already be done for you, but this is just a personal view, and so just take it with a pinch of salt. But I kind of figure that I would rather control the chat in my class and turn it off for everyone if I need to, or turn it off individually, because that chat that you have builds community and collaboration. And because it's sitting inside Teams, every chat is recorded and saved. And so therefore it's always archived. So something inappropriate happens, you can go back and see it at any stage, and you can talk to the students about that one-on-one if you need to. So otherwise, if you do turn that chat off, the students might jump onto another platform that you don't have control and sight and vision over, and have the conversation that you're not being part of and you can't see what's going on. So just be aware that that's the way the chat works. If you want to get rid of that student, let's pretend that a Susanna then leaves. I can just hit that cross and then that will delete her out of there and she'll disappear as well, which is quite interesting. You'll notice that here, I've got a thing called tags. Now, tags enable you to group groups of kids together. So it could be the green group, the blue group, or the red group. And then when you mention them in a post, they'll get a message. And I'll talk a bit about that, about mentioning in a post once I've gone through these settings. In the channels, these are all the channels that I've built. And you can see that I've got bits and pieces added in there. This has been locked. There's a padlock there. And these ones are open to everyone. The settings, some of these are done at an admin level, so you may be able to change some of these around. Your theme in here, you can change the way in which the class looks. So it might be a photography class. It will then update that with an icon up there that will look nice. You can also bring in your school logo if you want. Every time you do a change, it does drop you out of that, which is really slightly annoying. So we'll come back to our settings. In the member permissions, you can come through here and change the permissions. And what you can do down here, at the moment, you can see that give members the option to delete their messages, and you can get the option to edit their messages. Now, at a school level, if I'm working with kids and I want to teach them to be responsible users of digital technology, and if they write something silly and then delete it, then I've got to go through the archive and be able to see it. If I untick that, that means whatever comment they make, they can't delete. So therefore, when you start this with your students, you can say, guys, this is a digital environment that we're living in. It's like being in the classroom. We don't have inappropriate comments in the classroom. We don't have inappropriate comments online. If you post something that's inappropriate, you will not be able to delete it. You can edit it if you need to, but you won't be able to delete it. If you want to stop that editing as well, you can, but sometimes kids might post something and forget to add something and they've got to then redo it. It's kind of a bit tricky. Guest permissions, you can get them to edit a channel if you want. And then if you've got students that want to join in later, so suddenly you've got 4 kids that rock up to your class because they've just been enrolled in your class, this little button here, if I go generate, gives you a team code that you can then share with them and they can join with a code. So if you remember when we went to create a team, it said create a team or join with a code. If they click on join with a code, they just enter that code and they get brought into your team. Their name will come and their email address will come as well. So sometimes that's a better way of managing it rather than doing it one by one. If the kids are sitting in the room with you, it's really easy to do that. But if they're already remote and at home, you're probably better to add the kids one by one because otherwise it will get a bit chaotic. In terms of the fun stuff, you can turn on or off the ability to do that, and that might be done at admin level. And there's a strict one, and then there's a moderate one. In a school, I'd stay with the strict one as well. And I can add stickers and memes as well. And then I've got my notebook as well. So that's basically my setting. The analytics in here will tell you who's been using it and how it's been running. And so it's quite cool in that. All right, nice. So a couple other things in here. I'll come back to my channel. So let's pretend in my channel I want to draw attention to someone and let them know that we've added something about maths. So I can say, hey, and if I go at and do an at mention, it'll bring up everyone's names. So if I go Adele, click on Adele, Adele will get a notification. And if you remember back to my window where I showed you all my notifications, when someone's mentioned me, I get a red dot on that channel. And so I know that someone's mentioned me. I can say maths test on Tuesday. Cool, lovely. So Adele now knows there's a maths test on Tuesday. So I can do an at mention to a person. I can also mention a channel. So I can go, hey, and I can go at maths. And notice what it brings up the channel. And I can say there's a test. So I can punch out that there's a test on Tuesday and that goes to the channel and they'll get a little red dot next to it saying that that channel has been mentioned. So that's how I can draw attention to individual chats and posts like that. In the maths channel, if I wanted to give a bit more information to a post so it jumps out a bit, down the bottom here, I've got a little A button with a paintbrush next to it. If I click on the paintbrush, it brings up a window that looks like this so I can make an announcement. Now in here, I can add a subject. I can make a bit more formatting in here so it stands out a bit more, and I can hit this little button over here that will then make it pop out and make it look important. So I'll just say maths test and show you what that looks like. And I can put in here just some stuff that's going to be in the test and then post it. and the channel, it will look like that. However, that might not jump out enough for some of your students or from your staff members if you're trying to draw attention to that. So if I come to this button here, which is the paintbrush and the A at the bottom, come up to new conversation, hit the arrow there, it turns into an announcement and it changes the headline for me so it looks a little bit better. So I might say cake day. So maybe Tuesday's cake day. I can grab an image or an illustration to add in there as well. I don't think I've got any of our classes. Have I got a cake class? Please, please, please. No, it's a dinosaur class. Clubs and activities. Let's see if I've got a cake in my club. Oh, there we go, popcorn, that'll do. I can go done, I can add it in there. I can add a subheading, cake on Tuesday. I can add some notes about it. I can mention people's names. So remember we talked about doing app mentions. I can do them in here as well. So he'll get a mention in it. I can add a GIF. Let me go into here and go cake because the cake one's pretty cool. Beautiful. Oh, there's a cat in there. Don't do a cat. Let's get rid of that. Don't want a cat. Let's do cake. There we go. That's better. I put the cake in there, and then I can post it as well. And that can jump out. And see how that jumps out a bit more? It's a bit more easier for people to be able to see what's going on. You will have a chunk of kids in your class, and they'll be looking at what's going on here, and they might go, yeah, I've read that about cake day. But you don't know they've actually read it unless they come into here and go reply and go, yep, I've read that. And then they can keep on feeding that. So if you've got 25 kids in your class, by the time 25 kids have responded in that, it makes your page, it makes that post go off your page. So what we do in UTB and what we've discussed with several other people we've worked with is that when you have a post that comes into a channel here, you can see that I've got these quick responses. I've got a love heart if I love it, so I love to have cake, that's good. I've got a smiley face, I've got some other bits and pieces, I've got a little 3 dots, which I'll talk about just after this. And I've also got a thumbs up, which means I like it. So what we say is use the thumbs up as an indicator that you've read the post and you've understood it. So for the kids, today, guys, we're going to be doing some maths. We really need you to go and measure 5 things outside. You've got an hour to do this, so go nuts. And so then the kids go thumbs up for that, and you can scroll down and all their names will appear here. So really quickly, you'll be able to see that they've actually read that and they're actioning it. If your students go, oh, I've got to remember that task, or you might be in a staff team and an important announcement comes through that you've got to remember and come back to, the 3 dots up here give you the ability to save that message. So if I go save that message, what it does is it saves it, and I'll show you where to find it in a tick, and then you'll be able to go and see it. The other thing that you can do with those 3 dots is use the Immersive Reader tools, which is across all the Microsoft tools. So Immersive Reader in here, what it does is it takes off all the images and just makes it easier to read. So if I go Immersive Read, I'll show you what it looks like. It'll appear like this, and it just pulls out all the information off that slide. It will also, I just keep on going next. It'll also play it to me. So if I hit the button down here, it will read that post to me as well. So for some of your students who struggle with the reading, they'll be able to use it as well. If we had another 2 hours, I'll show you how all this gear up here works, but it's very cool. So that pulls off the images and just makes it easier for people to read. It's in Microsoft Word. It is inside anything to do in the Microsoft products. It's also inside OneNote as well. So that's how those posts works, and that's how the things work. And you might go, well, that's fantastic. I've saved it. Where do I find it? If I come up to my profile button up here, which will have your name on it, and click on it, all my saved messages will appear. So if I click on that, it'll come across here, and you'll see that my saved messages appear. Now, the one that I've just done there hasn't come through. It takes a couple of seconds in this version, but it will be there already, so you can go through the saved messages. So this becomes my to-do list. So, oh, yep, I've paid attention to that one. Yep, good, just tick that off. Oh, I've done that one as well, that's cool. I can actually see what's going on at any one time within my saved messages. So it's a really good way of your kids being able to manage what's going on. If in my, let's come back to my team that I had before, in my delete team that I'm working on, if I wanted to add a document in there inside a channel, I can either add it as an attachment by coming to the little paperclip down the bottom and attaching it, or I can just drop a URL in there and it will automatically embed a document as well. And I'll take you back to our other teams to show you how that works as well. All right, noticing that I've got about 15 minutes to go and there's some other gear that I really want to be able to show you. So I want to be able to show you how to do some bits and pieces, and I'll come back and read some questions in just a tick. Good. Yeah, so Leonie talked about announce it as students like a post as a role check, which is really good. Yeah, Rob, that's a great question. I was actually chatting to my sister last night about how do we take a role when kids are not in our classroom. So that's probably a good way of doing it, getting the thumbs up on it and checking that they're there as well. You could also add in the top here, you could add in maybe a Microsoft form where they can check in on the form, and then you can check that as well. But maybe that thumbs up is just an easier way to do it because it's all sitting there. Cool. So let's just have a quick talk about tabs, and then I'll show you how the assignments work, and then I'll show you how to integrate Google Classroom, and then I'll show you how to do a call. So there's probably about 4 things really quickly we're going to be able to do in this bit. So at the top here, if I want to add anything else into my channel, which is a tab which people can come to, I can label these things as a post or as a tab at the top, and then people can get to it really quickly. So if I come to the Word document there, and I had a Word document already, I could then add it to it. So I'm going to jump into my other team and show you how that works in a tick. But all these things up here are accessible to the kids, and I can change the order of these round a little bit. So therefore, I could have a post up here that might be the work for the day, and they could click on it and they could come and see it straight away. So I'm going to jump out of this demo team here and just come back to my UTB team and show you how we've done it with some stuff that's already populated. So I'm going to come to our Dulwich College International. So we were working with Dulwich College, and you can see that this is a private channel. And the reason it was private, there's about 6 trainers working on it, and a couple of admin staff, and we wanted to be able to really just narrow down the clutter so people didn't see it. You'll see across the top, we've got posts, we've got files, and then we've got these other ones in here, which are ones that we have customized. So all we've done is we've come to the plus, we've then come into here and dropped in something that we wanted to refer to. If we go to Word, what it's going to do is it's going to look at our Microsoft documents sitting inside our team. And then what it will do is it will then come in here and go save, and it will populate it straight at the top here. It's coming in a tick. There we go. So at the top here, you'll see now I've got all the content that we're going to be running through. I can rename it. So this might just be content. Go save. And I can then drag this over here. I can get right up to about right next to my files. It takes a while to drag across, but when it gets there, that could be what you're going to be doing in your lessons during the day. Now this is a Word document that's been dropping in here, and you see as soon as it's in there, up comes my Word Online, and I can edit it straight away. So I don't actually have to jump out of Teams. But if I come across to this running a webinar one, this running a webinar tab is actually a Google Doc. So this Google Doc has come straight in, and it's a fully functional, fully editable, fully workable Google Doc sitting inside here. My next tab over is a timetable, and this has been built out in Word, and it's a fully editable Word document. All these hyperlinks work, and they'll link off into wherever they need to go. So I've just dropped it in there. If I don't want it there, I can just come into here and I can go remove. It doesn't delete the document, it just gets rid of this tab at the top. So these tabs can help you organize yourself really well. The next one over, which is the last one I'll show you, is a folder. And this folder comes from our Google Shared Drive, and it's all the gear that we access. Now, if I share something from my Google Drive, the sharing permissions have to follow it. So it comes across and I can actually access it in here. So it all works inside my team. I don't have to go anywhere else except being inside that team. All the communication that happens in these teams, I'll come back to my channel here, everyone inside that team can access. So all our conversations in here, everyone inside that team can see what's going on. However, I just want to have a conversation with 5 or 6 people or one other person that I'm working with. That's where chat comes in. So over here on chat, I can actually have a conversation with people really quickly inside that. You'll see that up here, we've got a Goulburn training event, and this is about 5 or 6 of us that are in this. And we have set this up so we can all have conversations, which is pretty good. And all the people that are associated with this little project can see it. Across the top, we have tabs like we do in the other things, so we can drop all the bits and pieces that we want to have in there as well. You can actually see that Donna's actually typing at the moment in this channel. So everything that happens inside here happens inside that chat, but it doesn't clutter up the whole window of us being able to work inside our team. So chat's differently. So if I just want to work with 1 or 2 other people, I can come into here, go to my little pencil and start a chat. I can also video call anyone in here at any time, and that will then make a video call to them at any time, but I won't do that now because they're all doing some training and I don't want to annoy them. So chat is different. Chat is only between the people who I associate it with, and I can pin my chats to the top. So at the moment, my 3 important ones here is our 8-week challenge that we had as a team, my conversations with Mike, Adam and Mike, and then also my Goulburn training, which is another one as well. So chat is different from channels. Chat is very private. So let me come back to my team across here again and talk a little bit about having video calls. And then we'll go on to assignments really quickly. So if we want to have a video call inside our team, we can either do a calendar appointment in here and add a new meeting. And then in that, what will happen is a calendar invite will go there and there'll be a link there that can be accessible and your students can then view it. Now, just be aware that if you organize a meeting this way, that calendar link is always going to be live, which means that your kids can jump into a meeting at any time, regardless of you being there or not. So what we would suggest is this. If we come back to my team in here, I'm going to create a channel in here and go add a channel, and I'm going to call it 01A meeting channel. Now in my meeting channel, what can happen is this is where I can have my meetings with my kids. So in my meeting channel, we might want to jump on a call as all our kids. Down the bottom here, there is the video camera. That video camera is basically a Meet Now video. So if I turn it on, it's going to ask for my camera. Yep, beautiful. And there's me sitting there. And what it's going to do is it's going to say Meet Now. And what that does, this could be a maths meeting, it will then go Meet Now for your kids, and they'll all have access to be able to jump in there and meet straight away. So that's pretty cool. It also means that you can turn the kids off. You can actually kick them out of that meeting once you're finished and shut it down, and then they can't get back into it. If it's a calendar invite, they can always get back into that meeting. So just be aware what it is. Now, people have asked in that chat about the video inside Teams. At the moment, you can have 4 people on the screen, and all the other kids will have just icons or their names across the bottom. So it's not like Zoom, where Zoom can have a whole lot of people in it. It's basically just around the Microsoft world. Now, the reason why they do that is because just for the bandwidth and making it work well, but also a couple other bits and pieces. Inside Zoom, if you save a Zoom call or video Zoom call, it gets stored either on their servers, and then you've got to download it and have it. If I record a meeting inside my Microsoft Teams here, it is automatically saved in Microsoft Stream, which is locked into your account. No one else can get it. So it's incredibly secure. So if you are interacting with kids, depends on the protocols of your class or your school. I would be suggesting that if you're going to meet with kids, then video every meeting. A little banner will come up on their screen saying this meeting is about to be videoed, and it will record it. They can then come back and watch it at any stage, and then you can also come back and watch it as well. So it just kind of keeps you a bit safe. But also, if kids need to come back and go, oh, Mr. Francis talked about doing fractions, I can't remember what it was, they can come back and watch the video at any time. So if I go Meet Now, it's just going to Meet Now like that, and it looks fantastic. No one else is in the meeting, it's just me. The 3 dots over here give me some actions. I can come into here, I can show my meeting details, I can start the recording. Because I'm in the browser, I can't blur my background, but if I'm using the desktop app enables me to blur the background, so all the background here will be blurred out so you won't see what's going on. So you'd probably be using the desktop app for you. If I start recording, it'll work straight away. I can also come in here and go turn off incoming video. And you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a window that says people. At the end of this meeting, if we had recorded it and I wanted to finish the meeting, I can just come through here and kick all the kids off. And then once I've done that and shut the meeting down, it disappears. They can't get back into that meeting again. So it's a really handy way of being able to manage that as well. Up here, you'll see there's also meeting notes. If you click that on, then you'll get some notes that you can take in your meeting and they'll follow that meeting and everyone else can see it as well. So I'll just kind of hang up on that one. So it depends on how the protocols are working with you and your schools of how to run those meetings, but that video call works really nicely. The video quality is good, the sound's good, and the video recording is good. If we had another 45 minutes, I'd show you that once you record something inside Teams, it goes to Microsoft Stream. Microsoft Stream will then give you a transcript of that meeting. And so the kids can scroll through and click on anything inside that meeting to be able to, they click on anything inside that meeting to be able to see what's going on. Now let me turn my camera back on and I'll just come back for a tick and then I'll show you how to manage assignments. So when you work, when you do the video call and record it, it goes to Microsoft Stream. Once it's gone to Stream, it'll do a live transcript and all the kids need to do is click on the words that you're talking about and the video will fast forward to that bit. So if you're going to do an introduction to a unit of work, you could just go meet now with no one there, video it, explain what you're going to be doing in this topic or explain what you want the kids to do for the day. It goes to Stream. You can add it as a tab inside the team as well, but then they can come back to it and click on the bit that says after lunch you need to do this, like fast forward to that part of the video. Really, really good. It's very, very hard, or it's impossible to share your video stream outside of your domain or outside of your school account. It's just locked in really, really tight. So it gives you that security, which for me is a really good thing to do. Anyway, so how do you manage assignments? Because one of the things to do with assignments is how do we do that? Now we've got 5 minutes, so this is going to be the world's quickest tour of assignments, and then I'll show you how to be able to do that. We've got a thing from here about how do people stop Zoom bombing. Zoom bombing is very hard to stop if you're using Zoom because remember it's an open source kind of area. Inside Teams, you've got to invite them in. If they're not in your domain, they're not going to get into a meeting. So if they're in your class, they'll be able to come into it. But if they're outside your class, they won't be able to come into a video meeting at all. So that's really, really cool. So a couple of things real quick. Quick adds to the verb. Let me go to turn off my video. Let me go share my screen. Let me come to this one, go to share, pull this window out, grab to this one here, and go like this. So in here, if you wanted to add a OneNote notebook that you've already got, I can go plus in here. I can go to OneNote, and it's probably going to create a new one, or I can come down to the website tab and just put the website URL in there, and it will bring it in from OneDrive. So as long as you've got the URL there, it'll work. And that's how we bring in our Google Drives. You would have seen in our demo before, I had Google Drive sitting inside there. And that's also how you can bring in your Google Classroom if you're using Google as well. So you just put the website, you put Classroom, type in here, Google Classroom, put in the URL or the link there. It will then bring in the classroom and the kids will be able to access your class, okay? It looks really good and it works really well, but in the time we got left, I'm not going to show you that now. Cool. So what does it look like for assignments? Let me come down to this physical science class. And in my assignments here, my assignments tab looks like this. And what this enables me to do, it enables me to manage my assignments and punch them out. So in here, you'll see I've got a whole lot of assignments that have gone out to my students when they're due, and they are now sitting in their OneDrives. So all these students have got this gear and they are ready to go. So if I click on View Assignment, this will tell me what the assignment looks like and how it was set up. And inside here, it shows me all the students that are working on it, and none of them have handed it in. If they had handed it in, I could click on it and I could go and be able to see that document straight away. It gives me an ability to export my marks to Excel. If I go to Student View, in here it tells me what the students will see. It might take a bit of time to populate, so I won't go there. And if I go to Edit Assignment, what it does is it brings me to a spot where I can edit that assignment. Now, in the sake of time, I'm going to come to here and just pretend that I've got a new assignment to give. And I'm just going to take a three-second twirl on how to create that assignment and how to punch it out. It'll just upload in just a tick. Obviously, you've got to have one prepared already. And then you've got to be able to post it out and manage it really quickly. It's just taking a bit of time to reload here, which is just a bit disappointing. Here we go. General call. So I'm going to come to assignments. I'm going to come to create right down the bottom. And I'm going to go assignment. And what it does is I just have to put a category in there like this. I can put some instructions. I can add a resource. And this is where I can add a document that I want them to do. Let's pretend I want them to do, I don't know, this thing here. That's a task that I want them to do. When I then send that out, what will happen is that will then have a copy per student. So they'll automatically get a copy per student, will go into their drive, and then you'll be able to see it. In that assignments list, to look at how it's working, you can click on it. You can click on the student's name, and you can see their document in real time to see what they're working on at any stage in doing that. You can put a rubric to it, you can add some marks, and you can put due date to it, and then you can sign and post that out. That was a stupidly quick way of showing you how that works. But once again, we know that we're running out of time and that it's really important that we've got through the main stuff. And there's so much stuff inside Teams to be able to kind of help you with. But what I'll do now is I'll just come back to our chat window and see if there's any questions there, because I know that we're about to just run out of time. And see how we go. So at the top here of the sticky messages, I'm just going to give you a link that will give you a link that will take you to a form that you can fill out if you want to have a form to actually ask us more questions. So if you just go utb.fyi/inquire and drop that in the top menu bar of your browser, that will take you to a form that you can actually ask us more questions, and we can get back and help you if we can. Our webinar with 250 people, and it's really hard to answer every single question, and I really apologize if we haven't really got there, but that's a really nice website to grab and copy down and just be able to post in that to be able to do that. Les has asked, how do you add a sector? Sector should come in on a URL. So if you go to that plus tab inside your channel, and you have a URL, you can have there, or it may also be an app that's been enabled in your domain. So you might have to ask your admin guys if they've enabled that to be added as well. So in terms of getting some extra help, that's a really good place to go, the utb.fyi inquire. If you want a copy of this slide deck, which has got a whole lot more stuff in it that I didn't even show you because we went down the rabbit hole, let's have a look in here. I'm going to add you a couple of sticky messages, so don't be too afraid if I've just lost one. So here's a URL, which I'll post there in a tick, which is to get this slide deck. And then I'll also put in there the URL to get help as well. So there's two URLs there that you might want to copy as well. So that's an hour and a half up. So I really hope that we've kind of gone through a whole stack of stuff for you. And it's been really, really quite punchy and pressured. So I hope that it's kind of given you the answer. I'm just checking all the questions to make sure we've kind of ticked off a few of them. But those two things there in terms of the utb.fyi ESA 6th of April will give you a copy of the PowerPoint that I used. And the utb.fyi/inquire will give you a link to get more access to us as well. If you want to punch me an email as well, what I'll do in a tick, I'll just drop up my email address so you can actually do that as well. But here at UTB, we've got, it says the inquire link has been deleted. Angela, my goodness. Okay, that's really not the best thing in the world. So we'll try to track that down because that was live last night. Anyway, sorry about that. We'll, in terms of UTB, we've got a whole lot of online courses in terms of OneNote, in terms of how to use OneNote well and use OneNote class notebook, and how to use Teams. So that is sitting inside our online courses. So what I might do is I might just punch up this last slide for you so you can have a look in there as well. And we'll find out about that link to that inquiry tab. So hopefully Mike's on it and he can drop a link in there really quickly. And we'll get that sorted as quickly as we possibly can. But just here, I will now share with you my screen. So you've got my email address, so you can actually pop me an email if you need to as well. So let me just go like this one here. There we go. I can share that screen down there. So you'll now see down there my email address is on that. If I just blow that up a bit bigger, that's better. You can have a utbpd inquire form, but also you've got the my email address. And on just if you want to copy that one down. I'll drop in the comment at the top there. Mike's dropped a link in there as well. And I'll drop it in as a sticky message as well, a link to our help form. So you can actually, there we go, cool. So at the top of that sticky note there, that'll work. But there's my email address as well. And the last slide, which I'll show you down over here, is a link to this presentation. So I really hope that was worthwhile for you. It's an hour and a half. It's very, very intense of me just talking at you for an hour and a half and not sitting down and chatting. So I hope you've got a whole lot of stuff out of that you can use and to think about and discuss. But I'd really encourage you to use Teams as your kind of port of call to be able to manage the way in which you work offline with your kids, and really think about how you work as a staff as well. So keep that chatter up amongst yourselves. Create a channel inside your team called Random Fun. Post some funny things that happen. Post funny things that happen around your house and those kind of things. Thank you so much for coming. I really hope that was useful. As I said before, there's a whole chunk of other webinars coming up. So jump on the AISA website and have a look at that, and jump into the ones that you want to. So I really hope that was helpful and release some of that stress. We're all in this together, and it's a learning curve. So thanks so much for coming along. Have a great day today. Enjoy the journey. Have a great day today. Enjoy the journey. And we really hope that it just works out well.